read out one.
Oh, go ahead. Okay, go ahead. Yep.
He says, in Michelson's experiment, everything appears as if the Earth were motionless. The disagreement between experiment and theory is brutal. And I think this fits perfectly on what we discussed regarding if it doesn't agree with experimentation, it's wrong, you know? I just wanted to add that. Thanks.
Yeah, if it was an experiment, that would be right, but Michelson-Morley's not an experiment.
Yeah, I was going to say, whilst the logical conclusions with the presupposition within the Michelson-Morley setup and what it may or may not show, it's certainly not science. Yeah, we weren't affecting rotation, were we? We weren't manipulating that, and that's what we'd be hoping to show within the change in the apparatus. Not confirmation, really, isn't it? If this, then it means this, without being able to vary it or manipulate it.
Hey, shout out to Witsit out there. Witsit gets it. What's up, man? I just moseyed on over to chat, so I missed you up there. So shout out to Witsit, man. He's killing it.
So I played that to show how Austin and QE used to be tight until Austin disagreed on something. And QE freaks out, and QE's literally wrong. You hear how he said that yeah, it would be devastating for the globe if it were an experiment. But they think that Michelson-Morley has to do with the Earth's rotation, which is wrong. It shows you how much they've looked into it. They think you'd have to manipulate the entire Earth's rotation when it has nothing to do with the Earth's rotation. It's ridiculous. But I made this video to see how the quantum eraser experiments hold up through his scrutiny and his strict definition of an experiment.
Each claim from any of these disciplines must be accompanied by experiment, preferably repeated, validating each claim. Now, if one of these guys come out, let's say from quantum mechanics or any of these guys, with a claim without experiment validation, well, you can dismiss that claim.
So there's still a couple people out there defending him. You just heard him plain as day say that any claim made in science not backed by experiment can be dismissed. So when I asked him what the hypothesis was for those experiments, and he admitted they weren't experiments, then so basically light being proven a particle, it can be dismissed. That opens up the conversations again for what light is.
Another important point here. You see these terms down here, interference and diffraction, right? They're synonymous. They mean the same thing. This is a diffraction pattern or an interference pattern.
So we just heard him claim that diffraction and interference are synonymous, which is true. So when asked, what his natural phenomenon is, he'll say diffraction or interference pattern. So we know what causes the interference pattern. It's interference. We know that interference causes diffraction.
Rocks in here are individual rocks or particles, and this is a wave. Hopefully everyone understands this. They're mutually exclusive. For example, if you stand 3 feet away from me, I pick up a pebble and I hit you in the forehead, it's going to hit you in a distinct spot on your forehead, right? That's a particle. However, if I pick up a bucket of water and throw that on your face, the energy from that wave, from that water wave, is going to be spread out across the entire transverse dimension of that wave. It's going to hit you all over your face instead of one distinct spot.
Now, I could conversely say if you took a bucket of rocks and threw it at somebody's face, the energy is going to be spread all across their face, and a little drip of water is going to leave a little spot. But it's when they try and make light a particle in reality, instead of once they step out of the convention of just calling it a particle to quantize it and be able to simulate it and program it, then they wind up with paradoxes like the Venn diagram paradox, the causality paradox. But if light's a wave, and there is no paradoxes. So anybody who's looked into this knows that it's ridiculous. They're stepping outside of convention and winding up with all these paradoxes like it's some giant mystery.
Right? Look at this one. A variable is a quantity that can assume any value from a set of values. Independent variables can't assume any value, and they're not values anyway. My word. Dependent variables can't assume any value, and they're not values. Unbelievable.
So on screen I've got various definitions of diffraction or interference. There's no mystery to what causes it. But you heard him plain as day say that an independent variable or a dependent variable can have values or amounts or quanta. So let's see how his independent variables and dependent variables hold up to that scrutiny.
So light diffraction, that's the observed phenomena.
So the natural phenomenon, or the dependent variable, is light diffraction. So we know what causes diffraction, but we'll give them the benefit of the doubt.
3. If the which path information is known or can be known, then we observe wave function collapse, no interference matter existing, right? Wave function collapse is your dependent variable.
Whoa. Wait, wave function collapse is the dependent variable? That's the effect? How can wave function collapse be observed in nature? You've told us over and over it's just mathematics. So if knowledge of which path, then collapse of mathematics. And not to mention, you just stepped out, you just said it was diffraction. Now you're saying it's wave function collapse. Get your story straight, man.
What is the independent variable here? Information known or not known.
The wave is purely mathematical, right? What's he talking about here? Well, he's talking about the wave function, Schrodinger's wave function. In conclusion, this experiment unequivocally validates A, knowledge or knowing the which path information alone causes wave function collapse. When I say wave function collapse, I mean the formation of matter. The wave function must collapse to form matter.
It's like he adds on a little bit more of his own horse shit each presentation. First, the effect is diffraction. Then the effect is collapse of the wave function. Then the effect is collapse of the interference pattern, which is not real. I'll show in a minute. All the way to matter existing is now the effect. Like, dude, he is just literally just added a little bit of his own interpretation to this until it proved his religion.
Concepts are part of the pure natural science that we try to protect in FED.
No.
And so
that's what I was trying to explain to you before. The wave function is a pure description. It's a concept, right?
Okay, so I'm going to follow you through to the logical conclusion then that dare I use the term, the collapse of the wave function has some connection to knowledge.
That's not the phenomenon that's occurring here.
Number 3, if the which path information is known or can be known, then we will observe wave function collapse.
Yeah.
Now you just heard Curie say that we observe wave function collapse. He's describing it as the natural phenomenon or the dependent variable, the effect. And then he just lies through his teeth. And people support him and back him up. It's ridiculous.
Wave function collapsing. Ignore it. It's a distraction.
Is that what the problem is? I'm just going along with I'm just moving along with the language. Hold up, Humboy.
Please, I am not making up the language.
Yeah, we already know that.
Once we get to that point, right, this language is used for some reason.
It's describing a concept. Doesn't have physical reality.
That's right. In support of the things he said, he had citations and everything showing that when mathematics comes into the process, it is no longer natural, and we can actually observe with our eyes not just the image on the screen, but the collapse.
No.
There is nothing to collapse. You understand that it's not the phenomena.
Number 3, if the which path information is known or can be known, then we observe wave function collapse.
There is nothing to collapse.
The independent variable is known versus unknown paths. It's in the experimental setups. Dependent variable, matter existing.
This man is just changing his shit repeatedly, and I feel like I'm the only one calling him out. He's just like a habitual liar. Now he's forcing the cause in the experimental setup with 2 independent variables, and the dependent variable is matter existing. How is nobody calling him out on this? It's ridiculous.
There can only be one independent variable and one dependent variable in an experiment.
So for his independent variable, he's got multiple paths and the knowledge of which path is his independent variable. For his dependent variable, he's got diffraction, then he's got collapse of the wave function. He's got an interference pattern collapse. And he's got existence of matter. He breaks every one of his own rules. It's just getting so out of hand. I hope this is easily recognized. This man is full of shysta. I want to thank everybody for watching, especially all y'all who stuck it out to the end.